How do you define yourself? Seriously, like how do you define who you are? It's not a rhetorical question. So how do you define yourself? It's kind of an odd question, I understand. How do you define yourself? What defines you, Miranda? I can think of something. Dance, right? Okay, there we go. You're a dancer, right? That's one definition. Cool. Anybody else?
The way you act around people.
The way you act around people defines who you are, absolutely. What defines you as a person? Let me ask, would you say that your name is a part of your identity?
Yes.
Right? Like, what makes you fit your name? Or, what makes your name fit you? Have you ever played that game? I know I have. I've asked myself that question on sleepless nights late at night because I happen to be up late at night. Not quite as late as you, Hazel. But I happen to be up late at night. And I'll ask, what makes me a Todd? As opposed to a Scott or a John or a Joe.
Your parents did.
Well, my parents did, absolutely. But how does that name fit who I am?
I think sometimes your name, when you are given that name, you do fit it. It's an appropriate name that your parents gave you. It's going to fit your personality, is what I'm trying to say, I think.
Yeah. So you kind of grow into your name, like you're given the name, and then as you grow, people start associating your name with you, and the way you behave kind of becomes attributed.
Personality.
Right, absolutely. Now just imagine then being Abram. Imagine the kind of crisis he must have been in. He grew up in the land of Oz. Sorry, that's the wrong story. He grew up in the land of Ur, not Oz, right? Oz is the Wizard of Oz with the little munchkins and the yellow brick road. But he grew up in the land of Ur, right? And he hears a voice, kind of like the wizard behind the little machine there, right? Now you can see why I said the land of Oz, right? He hears a voice, not behind the curtain like the Wizard of Oz, but he hears a voice, and that voice tells him that he needs to leave his country, he needs to leave everything and follow the voice. Now, I don't know about you, but to me that kind of sounds like a crisis in and of itself, right? You're hearing voices that tell you to follow the voice, which is kind of like, huh? Like, I'm to now leave everything to follow. Just imagine, Hazel, that you just decided one day that you heard a voice and you're going to leave your job to go follow it. People probably around you be going, what? You're going to leave to follow it? Have you seen a shrink anytime recently? You know, like, right? Like, isn't that, right? Like, do you need help? Can we help you in any way? The voice tells him to leave everything, his gods, his family, his friends, his job, everything. And he listens to that voice. Sign number 2, that he needs help, right? So now he has to redefine who he is by his newfound faith in a God he's never seen and has never known. But not just him. It would be one thing if the story was Abram one day heard a voice and he went off and followed that voice and no one ever heard from him again. That would be one thing. It would be tragic in and of itself. Oh, poor Abram, wonder whatever happened. Hope that doesn't happen to me or anybody I know. But at least it was just affecting him. But this decision to follow the voice is a decision that affects his whole family. Sarai had to join him on this journey as well. His quest, by necessity, became her quest. What's more, his nephew, Lot, and some other people decided to join him on this journey as well. Now, I don't know about you, but I can relate with them. You see, God called me from a young age, and I had to come to terms with that call. I too heard a voice, perhaps not behind a curtain or from the sky, but within me, calling me to ministry. It was a call that I came to terms with in the middle of an identity crisis. Go figure, right? Doesn't that seem like the case in every story in the Bible? God calls somebody, not me. But it's always in the middle of a crisis. And it was a call that no longer just involved me, but by necessity, it included my wife and my daughters. And my call led me and my family away from our home to a new place, and no doubt will lead us to many more places from here. So I can relate with Abram, getting this call, and then deciding to follow the call, and to leave everything behind in order to follow the call. But God wasn't done with them there. God brought them to a new land, and then made them a promise. What did God promise them?
Children.
Children, right? That's a good promise, I think, right? Yeah, descendants, children and descendants, as numerous as the stars. Now, what's the problem with that promise?
The age.
The age, right? Sarah couldn't bear children, or so the Bible writes it. Now, I often wonder, since men wrote it, was it really that Abram was impotent, or is it that Sarah was barren? You have to wonder, like, did the man write in, oh, so it wasn't Abraham, it was all Sarah, right? But honestly, they couldn't have children at a young age, and here they are in advanced age. How are they ever going to have a child? Sign number 3, that they need help, that they follow this voice, right? But that didn't stop God, did it? Because God continued to redefine them. So not only are they now having left all their family behind in a new land, and now getting this promise that is redefining them from barren and impotent to childbearing and child producing. But God continues to redefine them by even renaming them from Abram and Sarai to Abraham and Sarah. Just imagine having to redefine yourself not in one or two ways, but in every way. The thing is that God is constantly calling us as well to grow. Just like He called Abraham, and just like He called Sarah, God is calling each and every one of us to grow, to transform, to be re-identified, to be redefined by God. So I'm going to ask you again, who are you? Who is it that you think you are? Who is it that you actually are? And who is it that God is calling you to be? We think we know ourselves, right down to our very name. But who knows us more than God? Our parents named us, sure. And we fit that name, sure. But God knows us even deeper than our name. Are you going to remain where you are, defined by your own understanding of yourself? Or are you going to allow God to redefine who you are? The same God who created you, the same God who has a plan for you. Now, as we come to the table tonight, I want us to remember that it was at the table that God sealed the deal on His redefinition of His disciples. You see, they had this crazy notion that their leader was going to conquer the Romans and become some king sitting on a throne in Jerusalem. God had a different plan. And that leader of theirs began to redefine them and the plan for them. Christ called them. Christ indeed taught them. Christ renamed even some of them, including Matthew, who was originally Levi, and Peter, who was originally Simon. And at the table, he showed them the plan that God had for them. They came to the table with a plan they had for God. They left from that table with God's plan for them. It was scary. It was not the plan they had for themselves or for Jesus. But in the end, it was the plan upon which God built the very foundation of the church. It is that plan which has got us sitting here right now, tonight. So let the table tonight be that point for you. The point where you open your heart to God's plan. The point where you choose to let God redefine you. The point where God's grace transforms you from who you are, who you think you are, to who God is calling you to be. Amen.